Hi there, I'm Lori Ingram, and welcome to Awakening Pathways, a place where we talk about spiritual growth, awakening, inner healing, and empowered transformation. So, if you've ever felt like you're doing all the right things, but you still feel stuck or overwhelmed, perhaps something deeper is calling you, then this is the place for you to explore. Today, I want to talk about subconscious healing, what it really is, and why I think it's a missing piece in your spiritual journey. So join me for the next few moments. So I want to talk to you about the subconscious. What is it really? You know, the subconscious mind, it's kind of like the soil beneath the surface. You can't see it, but it's there. It's where all of our patterns, all of our beliefs, all our emotions, our memories are rooted and stored. It holds everything we've learned in our lives, both consciously and unconsciously. Everything we've learned about who we are, what we deserve, our worthiness, what's possible for us, our beliefs. 95% of what we do is controlled by our subconscious. I'm sitting here talking with my hands. I'm not consciously doing that. My subconscious is doing that. We breathe, our heart beating. We're not consciously breathing. It's just happening. It's automatic, right? So think about that. When we work with the subconscious, we're rewiring and rewriting the blueprint of our brain. So you know how you can water, and I know because I'm not a great gardener, but I have a little garden and I water it and take care of it. But you know, if the soil is still dry, it's not going to bloom, right? So when we work with the subconscious, we're really going deep to the root causes and those programs and stories that are running in our head and controlling what we do without necessarily even realizing it. So let me tell you a little bit of a story about my own personal journey and why I started doing subconscious work myself a few years ago, and now I bring it to my clients. You know, I've been studying and on a spiritual path and many trainings for 10 plus years. And I realized a couple of years ago that I was still, in effect, sabotaging myself, especially when it came to owning who I really was, letting go of old stories about who I should be, and then ultimately bringing what I do to other people. And what I learned was that there were still subconscious stories and programs that were running the show, really running the show, and really keeping me from being visible, having a YouTube channel, being on social media, sending out newsletters, talking about myself. So I discovered subconscious work. And I'm going to put a link here below to the program I did go through. It was transformational. I did some of the work on my own through the Julie Costa's library of subconscious hypnosis, breath work, and subliminal audios, and felt such a shift very quickly that I actually joined her program. First and foremost for my own personal transformation, but also to be certified so that I could start to weave these things into my own work. So the link will be in the comments if you're curious and want to learn more about either one of those. So tools like neuro-linguistic programming, the emotional freedom technique or tapping, hypnosis. We speak the language of the subconscious through imagery, emotion, sensation, and repetition. The thing about the subconscious is it loves repetition, but it also likes speed. So, you know, the first thing that comes to mind when somebody asks you a question is your subconscious speaking. When you pause and you think and you contemplate, you're actually in your mind. So none of this is about controlling our mind. It's not about erasing who we are. It's about uncovering what's been hidden, clearing away stories that don't serve, reclaiming your truthfulness. So personally, I experience deep shift in just a few sessions, and my clients do as well, because we're working with their inner wisdom. We're not working against it, we're working with it. And I'll give you a really simple example of myself. I was procrastinating being visible on social media for years, and I started as part of being in the Anchored program, taking on some challenges to be more visible and put myself out there. And wouldn't you know it, as I started to do it, I saw a shift in people who were reaching out to me. I reconnected with friends that I hadn't talked to in a long time, because they're like, oh, I'm fascinated by all the things you're doing. I'd love to learn more, support you, all the things. The other thing that happened to me in one of the very, very first meetings of Anchored in January was we did a thing where we took something we liked that we no longer wanted to like and shifted it from a like to dislike. And we chose a food, because it's a pretty simple thing to do. And there was one particular brand of ice cream, Edie's Cape Cod Fudge, I believe it is, that every time I would go walk by it in the supermarket, I had to buy it. And inevitably, if I buy something, I eat it, right? And I was really trying to be more mindful of what I was consuming. So I said, you know what? Let me see if I can shift that to something I didn't like. And I chose pistachio ice cream because I don't like pistachio. And through something that took probably 5 minutes to do you know, it is now middle of June. Yes, it's the middle of June. I have not bought that ice cream. I've even looked for it in the supermarket to see if I would be tempted to buy it. And I haven't bought it. It's pretty fascinating. And it happened like that. So there's lots of ways we can use these NLP techniques to shift things like that in our world. You know, I have to say, one of the things that I've been thinking a lot about is why this matters if we're on a spiritual path. Because you know what? We can do all the things, and I do, all the, contemplation about other levels of consciousness, shamanic journeys to other places. I love that. That's the world I love to live in. But you know what? We're still human. We can still be stuck in loops of self-doubt. We can still be stuck in fear. It doesn't mean we're doing anything wrong. It just means that there are stories that continue to drive us in our subconscious that are not necessarily serving us. So doing the subconscious work really helps us embody our spiritual insights in real, tangible ways. So you're not just awakening, but you're learning to live in alignment. So this is not about bypassing at all. It's not about bypassing things. It's about integrating. It's about returning to the wholeness that we are. So if this resonates with you, I'd love for you to subscribe to my channel. Even sign up for my email list, because I do send out emails once or twice a week. I'm going to be, sharing more videos about different techniques, sharing some EFT sessions, some hypnosis. I'm really sharing with you a lot about my own personal journey, which may resonate with you. And lots of links below if you're curious about learning more about my programs. But I'd also love to know in the comments if there's one belief or one feeling that you're ready to release right now. What would that be? So I'd love to know so that I can help create content to support you. So thank you again for being here, and may your day go with ease. Bye.